Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for this opportunity. And I appreciate to the ranking member, Senator Renner, the debate and the passion and conviction that you've all demonstrated in your opening remarks. This is a very exciting topic from my perspective and an exciting time, and I appreciate all your leadership and your conviction and your constancy on this issue. Green buildings, you said it, Congressman Markey, on the top. This is one of the areas where we're not focusing enough attention, and most people are not familiar with the costs associated not only with the operation of buildings, but the construction and demolition of buildings as it relates to the environment. In San Francisco, we began over a decade ago and became one of the first big cities in the United States of America to legislate all of our municipal buildings to be built to LEED certification. At the time, people thought, again, another typical San Francisco idea, San Francisco values, sky's going to fall in, world's going to come in, major tax increases, companies are going to run out of San Francisco. We heard it all. The reality is, couldn't have been farther from the truth, and we're quite prescient now for the same reasons the ranking member said. We're paying less in energy bills. We're paying less in insurance. And another big point I want to make here today, Fireman's Fund and others are charging less for insurance for some of our buildings that the city was wise enough to invest in as it relates to these LEED certifications. But that wasn't good enough. We represent, as a property owner, a de minimis amount of office space in our city. So we put together a work group in 2004 which came up with the first standards in our city's history to advance some incentives for green buildings with LEED Gold certification. What happened in 2004 was interesting. We fast-tracked permits through these incentives, and we ended up having a bigger line, a bigger queue for people in the construction and building side of the ledger trying to get in the fast-track permits for LEED certified buildings than in the traditional lines at our Department of Building Inspection. And it occurred to us then that we have a much bigger appetite and a bigger market for this than we had realized. Consequence of our 2004 legislation is we decided to more formally advance an initiative to require all residential, all commercial, and all remodels that are done in the city and county of San Francisco to meet the similar LEED certification, going to LEED Gold within the next few years. It's the most aggressive green building standards of any city in the United States of America. It was done with broad consensus and overwhelming support. In fact, perhaps after today I'll receive my first letter of opposition, but I have yet to receive a letter of opposition from anybody. It was an industry-led initiative because they get it. They know they need to ultimately get into this business. The fact is, though, they need to be pushed into it. Some of the largest developers in San Francisco, which happen to be the largest developers across this country that do business in almost every major city, they get it. They get it because it ends up costing them less. It ends up being more attractive from a leasing perspective, higher occupancy rates. Businesses get it because that's why they want to go into these green buildings, because they have greater workplaces, which derives lower costs associated with sick days, higher morale. These are objective measures that have been analyzed, and I hope you have a chance to read some of these reports, which are extraordinary. This is inevitable, whether we like it or not. This is a direction we need to be going. This is not difficult for anyone to do. The idea that the private sector is just going to somehow do it, maybe, but the fact that the U.S. government hasn't done it is suggestive. And if the U.S. government won't do it, if you won't do it to save energy costs, and HUD won't do it to save on $4 billion+ a year they're spending on utilities, for the life of me, I don't know necessarily how the private sector is going to end up doing it on their own. We, again, have been able to establish a framework where we brought parties together. We did it in an environment which was supportive of the private sector, didn't take anything away. We've done it in a way where we've raised the standards and raised the bar. Now, by the way, we're doing LEED Platinum certification on a lot of our new buildings, not even LEED Silver or LEED Gold. In fact, we have a new one, the Academy of Sciences in San Francisco, the largest LEED Platinum building of its kind in the United States, where someone well described it as lifting up Golden Gate Park, our park, and placing a building underneath it, and then placing the park right back on top of the building. And already, in terms of its identity, already in terms of its purposefulness, it is creating a lot of excitement and enthusiasm, and will be now the new benchmark, the new bar for all subsequent construction. So I'm just here to say we've got to get over the idea that this is somehow extreme. we've got to get over the idea that somehow is even controversial in this day and age. And from perspective that Congresswoman Solis said, this is where the jobs are coming from. This is in the photovoltaic and the solar and the energy retrofits. If we're going to get serious about green-collar jobs, get serious about the loss of manufacturing, get serious about environmental justice issues, which Ed and others will talk about in a moment, then we got to get serious about the opportunities as it relates to the green building industry. And I couldn't be more enthusiastic as a mayor of a city where the people of San Francisco get it. Republicans and Democrats get it. This is not about politics. They understand the economic imperative, they understand the moral and ethical obligation, and they understand that this works. And so that's, in essence, what I wanted to leave you with.